All right, guys, welcome to Have a Drink with Pops. I'm here with Ben Baker.
How y'all doing?
This is the episode of the smart guy and the dumb guy. You guys pick which one's which.
Yeah, well, y'all
It,
decide.
it ain't gonna be hard, believe me. Anyway, Ben here says he's a connoisseur of bourbon.
I'm
So
trying to be.
yeah, well, there's so many bourbons out there that I would love to try. But my God, prices of them just
They are
crazy up,
freaking ridiculous.
you know?
But my current available bourbon right now, the one that you can get pretty much anywhere, is Buffalo Trace.
Oh, I love that.
Man,
Yeah.
that's some good stuff.
And it's still a little bit pricey, but it's not too bad, you
Well,
know?
they've got another one, and the name just right out of my head. Now you can tell which of them one is. That it's the same company, Sazerac, but it's aged for 3 or 4 years. It's not aged as long as Buffalo Trace, and you can get it much more readily.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
it's just not quite as good as Buffalo Trace,
Right, right.
but it's still good. And the company that makes them is Sazerac.
So do you drink it, what do they call it? You know, straight on the rocks type thing?
Just pour it in a glass and have a sip.
Right. Yeah.
I'll sit there at my desk when I'm working at the house and enjoy one.
So what you're looking for in bourbon is the burn or the initial burn or the later after burn or
I'm looking for a complexity, not the
right,
burn.
right.
Since I've started this, what I call the bourbon journeys,
Yeah.
I found that I like the higher proof stuff. The
Okay.
lower proof stuff just, I'll give you for instance on this. One day, a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting there at the house and I looked through my cabinet and said, hey, I got some Jack Daniels left. Cool. So I poured it in my glass and I sat down, I fired up and start working, take a sip, said, who watered down my whiskey? Because I was looking at it and I said, no, this is straight Jack Daniels, but it's 90 proof. And I have, don't know why, but as you get older, as you know, Pops, your palate evolves and things change. And I now find that I like the ones around 120 proof.
Right. I got you.
And they don't burn like they used to.
Okay.
But I've also evolved my palate so that when I take a sip, I can taste the complexity of it.
I got
And
you.
Buffalo Trace just has the flavors I'm looking for.
I got you.
It's just good stuff.
Right. Right. So and there's so many people out now that are coming out with new bourbons. I've seen one that I have to try, but it's $100 a damn quart.
Okay, who is he?
It's Terry Bradshaw's whiskey. And it's a bourbon. It's a
Hadn't heard
Kentucky
anything
bourbon.
about it yet.
Yeah. And I mean if that man's gonna put his name behind it, I think it'd probably be good. Uh and I always walk in there and I find the first barrel edition or something. I'm like, oh, I can't afford that right now. But
Yeah, it can be expensive.
if I find the second, or a mixed barrel, sometimes I get it. And here lately, I haven't got anything new. But right now, Jim Beam is my choice. And if you're listening, Beam family, I need some
Sponsor
sponsors.
this guy.
Yes, I need to have your bottle sit right here
Yeah.
between us, and always be talking about
Sponsor this guy for
you.
Jim Beam. Besides which, y'all don't know this. Most of you have never met me. But in college, when I went to college, the first thing I carried into my dorm room was a half gallon in each hand of Jim Beam. I did. Toted it right in the dorm. First thing I moved in. And this guy saw me walking down the hall. He screamed, Jim Beam! And there are still people on the planet today who only know me by one of my nicknames, Jim Beam. So sponsor this guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we're looking for small sponsorship. All I want is alcohol. Uh, send it by the case. You probably
All
have
right
to do
here.
once a month, but uh,
As Bo Cephas said, we have shook Jim Beam's hand.
yes,
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 we have.
we've done it, and here's to you guys. Woo.
Yeah, I can't drink today. When I leave out of here, I've got to go somewhere else and do some work. But I'm from Turner County, which is right next door to you.
Right?
Literally took me 18 minutes to get here.
Yeah, that's nice.
But we finally, in Turner County, got our very first ever liquor store in the history of the county.
Oh,
It is so cool.
yeah.
And I know the guys that own it, know the daddy, and I know the guy, the son who's going to run it. And I said, when he came and spoke, I said, these are the ones I want. He looked at me and said, I'll get them for you.
Ah.
Yeah. And then I saw him this past week. I was there Thursday or Friday, I forget which. And I reminded him of the ones I wanted. He said, I'm going to try. Those are allocated. And what I want is a bottle of Colonel E.H. Taylor and a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle.
Okay.
Now, if you don't know about these bourbons, if you can get your hands on one and want to sell it, manufacturer suggested retail price around $60.
Yeah.
Secondary market starts at $250.
Whoa.
And this guy looks at me and said, if I can get a case, will you buy it? And I said, yes, 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 I will. Yes, I will.
Oh man.
And this is made by the same company as Buffalo Trace and
Okay.
Size.
Okay.
And the E.H. Taylor and the Pappy and the Rip Van Winkle and the other one's name just again went out of my head. They all start from the same mash, and then they pour out the first one, which is the less expensive, and then comes Buffalo Trace, and they continue to age it. And then when they pull it, they run through the taste profile, and that's when they decide if it's a Pappy or a Rip or the other one. I swear, getting old is rough, isn't it?
It's terrible. I mean,
But it's the other one. E.H. Taylor, Pappy, and Rip Van Winkle. And they have the master distillers and the tasters, and they decide which one it should be.
huh.
And they're good.
Yeah. So I wanted to tell y'all, I'm not on the expensive side like he is. I I do drink Jim Beam, but my other go-to is Evan Williams 101, and
That's a pretty good one.
I think it's pretty good and it's low priced. And if you're not looking to spend a lot of money, that's another way to go.
Well, here, if you're in Georgia or you've got somebody with access to Georgia, there's two you need to try.
Okay.
Georgia Moonrise. Georgia Moonrise.
Okay.
That's made up in Rabun County.
It's a bourbon type.
It is a bourbon. And
Okay.
it's made in Rabun County. It's inexpensive and it's Georgia made.
Okay.
And it is really good. And the other one is made in Savannah and it just simply says Savannah. And I was amazed by this one because I saw the bottle, I forget where we were, and I saw the bottle and said, all right, I'm going to try this because I've had some bad experiences. We'll get to it in a minute. And took it back and sampled it and said, them dudes know how to make some good bourbon. This is, the Savannah is actually, I hesitate to say it because not everybody's going to get this, but it's got a slightly sweet taste to it. And not everybody likes that sweetness. But this is good. It's 90 proof, comes in a straight bottle, says Savannah on the side, and it was just really good.
I'm gonna look for that one.
And the main reason I bought it was because where I bought it, the package store had bottles behind the counter and they pour you a little sip so you could try it to see.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, man, these folks here, they know what they're doing. They got the bottles and they only pour you a little bit. It's not even a full shot. It may be like an eighth of a shot just to give you a taste.
Right.
And she said, I really like this one. And she poured it and I went, yes, I'll take that right now. Thank you very much. And it was good.
Okay.
Now, here's the one to avoid at any and all costs. St. Augustine.
Okay.
I was in St. Augustine 2 years ago for my mama's wake. She wanted to be cremated, which she was. She died in COVID. And we took her ashes and we poured them out in St. Augustine. That was her favorite place to ever be.
Sorry for your loss.
Well, she was with me for 78 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, St. Augustine bourbon.
Yeah.
So we go into a bar, which is out on the dock there at the motel we were staying, and they had this open space there in the middle of the bar where you could look down and you could drop a tater chip or something. You'd see the fish swim up and get it. So I said, you got anything local? She said, St. Augustine. So they poured me one. And I took a sip of it. And I said, all righty then. I haven't farmed in years. I used to farm, among other things. And that was the last time I took a sip of diesel. St. Augustine has an aftertaste of diesel.
Oh my God. Okay.
It is horrific.
Stay away from napkin.
I'm on a couple of bourbon groups, and when I brought up my St. Augustine trip and I tried it, one of these other guys said, yeah, I'm with you. He said he lives somewhere in the West. He says when people take trips, they know I like bourbon, so they bring me back one. And they keep bringing me St. Augustine when they go to Florida. And
so let's give a shout out to one of your bourbon groups. You group. You said bourbon group.
Yeah, just go on Facebook and you just look up bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't
And
remember the name of it. I told you I'm old, and he said we got one smart one and one dumb one, and now you know who we're talking about. I can't remember, but it's Facebook, and there are two bourbon groups, and you just go on there and you just look, and you'll find people that like bourbons. We share our bourbon collections. We talk about the new ones that we get, and I'm really looking forward to that E.H. Taylor if he can get me one.
yes, sir.
The problem is there's one distributor per state. Thing except for California, which has got two because it's so bloody big. Texas may have two, and they're the exclusive distributor for the high-end Sazeracs.
Okay.
And they're allocated, which means the store has to do this much volume before you can get one of those.
I got you. That that makes sense, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, so um
And the mid tier, the one that probably more people know about is Blanton's.
okay.
That comes in the round bottle that's faceted around it. It's got the racehorse on the top.
Okay.
And what irritates me about that, the bottle has an MSRP of $59. I have never seen it sell for less than $100.
Hmm.
There's a package store in Cordele, and they got them lined up on the wall. And they'll tell you they're $100 after you buy $300 worth of other product.
Wow. You know, that's a whole nother show of the markup that these liquor stores are getting. The county I live in right now has recently got two liquor licenses. We've been dry forever.
As long as we have.
Yeah. And they got two liquor licenses. But I'm gonna go out there. I'm not exactly how long ago it's been. A year probably. And we still don't have a liquor store. We've had people that we know who's got the licenses and everything now, but they still have yet opened up their store.
Well, if you're like we are, they approved it in November
Yeah.
in the general election. And then it takes 60 or 90 days. I can't remember what the state law says before you can issue your first license.
Okay.
So we've got one in Turner County. We've got two licenses available for the city of Sycamore, and I think two for Ashburn. And I'm thinking, why are you limiting it?
Yeah. I mean, two in Sycamore though. Good God, that
Yeah,
place ain't but 100
but,
yards long.
but we're right on the interstate too.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
true. No.
right on the interstate.
So
So there's that.
yeah,
But I'm thinking, why are you limited? Let capitalism run and let the competition rule.
exactly.
But if you want one of these high-end allocating ones like we just spoke about, like E.H. Taylor, Pappy Van Winkle, Rip Van Winkle's easier to get than Pappy Van Winkle. You got to get in good with your package store on. You got
Yeah.
to get to know him. You got to talk to him. And I told the guy that owns ours, I said, Wesley, you get him in, you call me, I'll be here.
All right.
Because I don't want somebody else getting my bottle. Now, let's bear in mind, a bottle of Colonel E.H. Taylor is going to last me a year, the way I said it.
I I see. That's why I don't buy that expensive bourbon. I drink it. So I got a good friend, Greg Steele. Greg, I'm gonna tag you on this
Hey,
post.
Greg.
You know, but he collects bourbon. He's got a collection. He buys the first barrel and he just puts it on the shelf and never even opens it. And every now and again you get one and open it, but he's just got a collection. I bet you his collection looks like a fancy ass liquor store, but you know.
I've got one I bet you he doesn't have, but he'd like to. It's called the Old Blowhard. It was
Okay.
aged for 24 years, and it's what they call an orphan cask. The casks were set in the back of the warehouse, and they just forgot about them until one day they went walking along. Whoa, look at this! And they uncorked it, and I think, I didn't buy this one. I ain't got that much money. But my girlfriend bought it for me as a gift, and I think it was $250.
Ooh, wow,
And more than half of it's still left, and that was like 8 years.
wow. Okay, it's good.
It is very good. It is
All right.
very good.
And so that age actually matters, you know.
The age
So
matters, but here's the thing. You get 25 years, you've maxed out on.
yeah,
You go more than 25 years in the barrel, for one thing, you're going to lose a lot of the whiskey in it. But when you get to that point, you start getting unpleasant notes in it, unpleasant taste,
right.
because you pulled everything useful out of the charcoal. When you get that old, you start pulling wood notes out, and a little bit of oak is a good thing, but after that quarter century, you start getting, it's like chewing on a two by four.
I got you. Hang on a second. I got a noise up in my shed here. I don't want it bothering everybody. You can keep talking, Ben.
Well, I don't know what to talk about.
Oh,
But the bourbon journey, everywhere I go, as I said, I try to look for something unique to the area. And that's actually how I found Georgia Moonrise. I was in Valdosta, saw a liquor store there in Hayhire, and said, hey, let me pop in and see what they got. And they had Georgia Moonrise. Said, hey, Georgia boy, born and raised, my state. I didn't expect much out of it, and I was so pleasantly surprised.
well, that's awesome. So, I mean, pretty much bourbon is a Southern thing. I mean, I know it's all over the place, but you go Kentucky and below, that's where bourbon comes from. I
That's
mean,
where
you
what I
know,
consider to be a real bourbon comes from.
yeah,
Now, Japan is making it too,
yeah.
but is it real bourbon?
Well, they say the only real bourbon's made in Kentucky,
Yeah.
but of course, everybody's making bourbon. So
Here's a question for you. Why ain't Jack Daniels a bourbon?
Jack Daniel's considered Tennessee whiskey. So
Tennessee whiskey, but what's
yeah,
it made from?
it's
The
made
same stuff as
exact.
bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it a bourbon. When sometimes you go to the bar and say, "I want a bourbon," Coke, bourbon and Coke, and they say, "You want Jack Daniels?" And I'll always go, "No, I want Jim Beam," but it's still that's what they consider bourbon. Everybody considers it bourbon.
I
So
think it's a bourbon too.
yeah,
It's made the same way. It's got the same process. It's just made in Tennessee.
yeah, yeah. And like you said, Savannah, it's made in Georgia. So, and I'm going to be looking for some Savannah. I want to try it.
I think
Yeah.
you will be pleasantly surprised.
Uh,
Before you mix it now, take you a little glass and pour you a shot and swirl it around and sniff it a little bit and take a little sip. And if you got an eye drop, you need an eyedropper because if you do it in a shot glass
yeah.
and you got it down to about that much, all you want to do is take your eyedropper and put 2 or 3 drops of water in it. If you got non-chlorinated water, country water, which I think you do here,
Yeah.
comes right out of the ground, just 2 or 3 drops. You will notice a difference in the taste. There's
Okay.
something about adding just that tiny bit of water that changes the flavor profile. I can't tell you why. I'm not a mixologist or a chemist, but
Yeah.
it makes a difference, dude.
Huh. So, all right. So we're gonna move on.
All right, moving on.
Bourbon's a great subject.
Love bourbon.
Um,
Good stuff.
but we're going from Southern to Southern Rock. So this is something I just learned. I got pulled over here on a computer.
I see that. Yep.
Leonard Skinner has been around for 1964.
Skinner's been around a
That
while.
that they're as old as I am. I ain't gonna tell you. Y'all just do the math, okay? All right. But
I'm just a little bit younger. They've been around a while.
yeah,
They are the quintessential Southern rock band.
yeah,
They're
and
older than Allman Brothers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so it's right here. Allman Brothers were a 1969 start, so that's what 5, 6 years
Yep.
difference.
Yep.
Uh, so Southern Rock has been kicking for a long time, and it took a while before Southern Rock actually it took a hold because in the '60s, Southern Rock wasn't a thing. There was some
No, you
other
didn't
stuff
have people
going
listen
on,
to it.
and so to me, right now, Southern Rock is pretty strong in my library. I love some Southern Rock.
I do too.
And it is in a lot of people's libraries. Um, of course, when I was in high school, which that was in the early '80s, uh, I was more of a rock guy,
Me too. Heavy
and,
metal.
and
Ozzy, Judas
but
Priest,
yeah, Ted Nugent, all
Ted
those
Nugent.
guys,
Yes, sir.
all those
Wang
guys,
dang.
Um, but I don't listen to those guys as much anymore. I'll listen to some more, I'll listen to the Allman Brothers, to Molly Hatchet, and all them. I actually, when I was in the '80s, I went and seen Molly Hatchet. I'm like, I'm going to see Molly Hatchet. But this other band opened
Oh,
up for them.
sure could.
All right. So this other band opened up for them. Def Leppard opened up
For
for Molly
Molly.
Hatchet.
Wow.
And these kids were the same age as me. I was 17, and there's a bunch of 17-year-olds up on stage, and they just killed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, by the time, Molly Hatchet went on break, and I ran up and I got some merchandise from Def Leppard. So I had a Britain bandana on and I was like
Wow.
third row at the Molly
Wow.
Hatchet show. And I had that Britain bandana on, and those guys were running up to the front of the stage and pointing right at me, and they give me the bird. Traitor, traitor. But I was having a good. That was one of the best concerts I've seen. Uh, that's up there with one of my top favorites.
I imagine so. Def
Uh,
Leppard's one of my favorite bands
yeah.
too.
But Molly Hatchet was killing it. I seen that back then. It was almost all original members of Molly Hatchet.
Dave and
And,
Bobby and
yeah. I mean,
Danny Joe.
yeah,
There it went again. They just went right up. Molly Hatchet's my all-time favorite band.
yeah,
You come to my office, you're gonna see Molly Hatchet albums on the wall, a giant Molly Hatchet banner.
yeah.
I have, in fact, left instructions to those who will take care of whatever remains when I'm gone that they must play "Fall of the Peacemakers" at my funeral.
Okay. I so Ben is talking about hiring Karma's Child for a show.
Yeah,
So we might just have to learn that song that he just said.
that's
Follow
my
the
all-time
Peaceman.
favorite song.
We'll do it. We already do a couple Molly Hatchet songs, and but we don't do that one. So
Yeah,
I mean, we do so much music, but I love that song too. I remember that song quite well.
my
Uh,
favorite. That guitar solo in that is just amazing to me.
Here's a couple other facts about Southern rock.
Wait
All
on.
right, so Molly Hatchet was 1975.
Mm-hmm.
So they were kind of new when I started listening to them. When by the 80s, they weren't that old. The Outlaws started in '67. The Outlaws to me are killer, killer
A
Southern rock band.
quintessential Southern band.
Yes. Um, and it doesn't say that it doesn't give an end year, so the Outlaws are still rolling along.
They
You
are.
know?
They're still playing. I read an article about them recently. They're still touring. Some of the original members have left, but they're still going.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's awesome. I mean, I wish they would come to our area more often because I would
I
be
do
at all
too.
of
I'd
them.
love to see them. Went and saw
Um,
REO Speed Wagon
oh, I
play
did
for
too.
Chandler.
That was pretty good.
That was
I
a
seen
great
them
show.
also in Nevada, which was a better show to me in Nevada, but this show was good.
I enjoyed it immensely.
Those guys got up on stage and I said, "Well, we're 71, and so
Rock and
that
roll keeps
rock.
you young.
They didn't. They didn't miss a lick
No, they
nowhere.
did. They jam.
You
Who
know.
else you got over there?
All right. So the Allman Brothers started '69,
Yep.
and there is an end date. Allman Brothers no more. It's 2014 was the end of the Allman Brothers. I'm pretty sure they're all passed on. They lived pretty. They lived a pretty hard life.
Was Derek Trucks in the original Allman Brothers?
Um,
I know he played with them.
I'm not sure if he was original.
I don't know if he was original. I can't remember. But Derek is still touring.
Yeah, he's still going. I mean, you have doggone it, I can't think of his name now.
We're getting old.
Yeah. All right, so ZZ Top, 1969,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and ZZ Top was they've been killing it forever, and
Forever.
they're still if they could be, they would still be all original members. That
It
would
would
be
be.
one of the bands that made it with original members the longest.
That's one of the amazing things about ZZ Top
Yeah.
is those three guys stayed together for so many years.
Yes, that's a long time.
And if Dusty hadn't died, they'd
Yeah.
still be jamming and touring, all
Yeah,
three
they
of them.
would be. I've seen some. I haven't seen the new ZZ. I'm going to call it the new ZZ Top because it is new. But I've seen some, YouTube videos of it, and the guy that they got covering for Dusty is pretty damn good.
He was their guitar tech.
Yeah, so he knows everything, and
Yep.
uh,
And that's the one Dusty picked to replace it.
yeah,
And the other thing I love about ZZ Top is when you watch the videos, there are two things you can immediately tell. These guys like playing music.
yeah,
They're
love
like
it.
the original Van Halen set. When
Yes,
Eddie and David Lee and Michael Anthony, and I can't remember the drummer, Alex, when they got on stage, you saw just the joy they had of just playing their
Yeah,
music.
that's one thing I used to love about watching Eddie Van Halen was he would be just playing the guitar like nobody else can, and he'd be looking at his bandmates smiling while he's doing it. He wasn't paying attention to what he's playing. He was just playing
He was
it,
just jamming.
but just having a great time doing it. I mean that I wish I
Yes.
could do that because when I get into an intricate, I'm a bass player, by the way. Everybody knows that I'm the bass player, just a bass player. But when it comes to the intricate part, I got to look down and make sure I'm playing the right thing, you know.
I'll
But
tell you a story about bass players. I bought when I was in high school the Black Sabbath, the first album they put out, and
right,
Geezer Butler's playing basically on there, basically, which is just the bass solo song. And when I heard him play that, I was like, dude. And that's when I fell in love with electric bass guitar.
yeah, Geezer
I do it.
he was good. We
Mm,
played some Geezer last night.
he was an amazing man.
Uh,
And the second thing, oh, forgot. Second thing I like about ZZ Top is when you see the video, there's equal time for all three of the guys. They don't just focus on the singer like that. They don't
yeah,
just focus on Billy the whole time.
yeah,
You either see all three of them at the same time, or you see one of them, then the other one's the same amount of time, and the other one's the same amount of time.
yeah.
They are very equal about how much each attention each member gets,
So
and that's amazing.
yeah, and so I wanted to. You said lead singer, and then you said Billy. But do you know Dusty did probably 50% of the singing in that band?
I know he did.
You know,
Manic Mechanic, one of my favorite songs.
he was a great singer, and a lot of the ZZ Top songs you hear on the radio is Dusty singing. That
Yeah, it
bass
is.
player just doing it.
He can do it. He
You
can do
know.
it.
Um,
What
let's
else you got
finish.
up there?
Let's finish up. The list ain't much further. Blackfoot, they were pretty good.
Legendary
69.
band,
Yeah,
legendary band.
69. Marshall Tucker, 1972. You would have
Uh,
thought they were older. And, you know,
I thought so too.
now when you see them, you know that they're older.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know they're older. You sure do.
uh, 38 Special, they're still together. You know, this is one of
Still
the band's
jamming,
ants, you
still
know.
rocking.
You know, they're still going. Um, you know, so there we go. And Charlie Daniels band, they call that a Southern rock band. He's gone now. Um,
God bless him.
and then you still have some people kicking around. You know, you have Chris Robinson, Black Crows. They consider that. You know,
Hmm.
Southern rock. Got some of the new bands. Blackberry Smoke.
Blackberry Smoke. Woo, that is now my second favorite band.
Yeah,
I have listened to everything they've done, and I love every bit of it.
you know, I love the new Southern rock bands coming out. And I've told myself this, that if I ever have to create another band in the area, because we don't have one, we got rock bands, we got people doing classic rock, we got people doing party rock, but we don't have a local band that does just Southern rock. That's what I'd want to do. I'd want to do this. Leonard Skinner, Allman Brothers, uh, all of 'em, Molly Hatchet, some
Oh,
Outlaws,
yeah.
some ZZ Top, you know, just mix all that together and that be your show, you know?
Make sure
So,
if you do this, please make sure you put in some David Allen Coe too.
uh, well, I love that. And David Allen Coe, if you pick the right song, it'd probably be good because, some of his stuff, whoo, you got to stay away from some of his
I
stuff.
understand. His favorite song that I like the most is Mona Lisa Lost Her Smile.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, I
That is
can just
good.
sit back in my recliner and kick it way back, give me a little shot of Buffalo Trace, go, yeah, life is good.
uh,
But I do love me some Blackberry Smoke.
yeah.
Saw them when they came to the municipal. Well, I tried to see them when they came to the municipal auditorium. I got a bum knee right now, and I'm going to have it replaced in a month or two, so I couldn't stand up. So Blackberry Smoke came out, and everybody jumped to their feet. I couldn't see most of the show.
I
Life goes on,
yeah, and
but I got to hear them live.
that's why I stay away from getting down on the floor at shows these days
I wasn't.
because
We were up in the mid tier.
yeah, so and they still stood up and bucked.
Everybody stood up.
So, and that's one thing. Albany, Georgia. We went to the Civic Center and seen Aria Speedway. I loved that place because there the security was cool as anything. I wasn't on the floor. I was a couple rows up along the side,
I was too.
and they had a bathroom and a beer place right there on the floor, and you could just walk down onto the floor and go get you a beer or whatever you wanted. You use the bathroom on the floor instead of having to walk all the way up the stairs. And then toward the end of the concert, me and my wife just stepped down on the floor and we walked up all the way up to the front of the stage and we were standing right there on the side, right in front of the band watching the last three songs. I was like, man, and the security didn't say a damn word to nobody,
Well, it was a
you
good
know,
crowd.
and yeah, it's what, right. That's one thing. You got that when you're seeing bands like that, you got respectable people. I'm not saying because they're older.
All right, you say respectable. I'm gonna say older. I'll put it to you like this: when we were coming out of the Civic Center and
Right.
walking down that giant flight of freaking stairs,
Yeah.
I got down to the bottom and I was surrounded by people. Of course, we were all leaving.
Yeah.
And I looked at folks and said, this was easier 30 years ago. It was like church. Amen.
All right, we're talking about being older. So
Well, what a great show that was.
yeah, it was a good show. Um, so my son pointed out to me the other day. He said, "Dad, my work truck, it has roll down windows in it." He said, I'm like, what? What's the problem with that? And I realized to me that the kids these days, they don't realize the hardship we had. Roll down windows, rotary phones.
Rotary phones. But the thing I love about the roll down windows in the older trucks was the little smoker's window.
Yeah, the
You could open
smoker
it and
window.
turn it. And if you turned it just right, man, you'd be doing 60 miles an hour down the road and you'd have a tornado coming through your front.
I mean, we used to call that, and I still do, if you don't have air conditioning, you still got damn
The 260.
260.
Yes, sir.
You pop those little butterfly windows open and
They were awesome.
oh man, it was great.
I loved them.
So some of the things that kids don't realize that we had to do. I mean, like, so when I was in high school, if there was a party on the weekend,
Yeah.
we started planning it Thursday at school and made sure everybody knew where it was.
Yep.
Made sure what time it was going to happen. And if you didn't have a ride, you lined up, your friend, you're going to come by and pick me up at such and such time.
Right.
Because there's no calling him on the cell phone and saying, hey, dude, what time you going to pick me up at the last minute, There was none
No
of that.
cell phone.
You had to plan that shit out,
Yeah.
And you didn't wait till Saturday to find out where the party was, because if you did, you were done. You didn't know nothing.
That was it. You didn't get the party that weekend.
Yeah. You'd call their parents, hey, is so and so. Oh no, they're not here. And you're like,
where is he? I don't know.
He said he was going over to so and so's house, and then he called so and so's house. Oh, he said he was going over to his house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everybody covered for everybody. Yeah, I remember those days too.
Woo.
Yeah, kids, they worry now when they go. They get, I've only got one bar of reception.
Yeah. Oh my God, they didn't text me back. What the? I'm like, I got your text.
And then you may have had 3 phones in the house, and they were all connected to the same line. One in the kitchen, one in the den, and one in your parents' room.
Yeah. And most of the time, your parents would pick up and listen to what you're
They did that pretty damn frequently. Yes, they would.
So I came along, and there was what they call party lines.
I remember them too.
You'd have the whole town listening to what you're talking about.
We didn't have no such thing as privacy.
No, not on telephone. I mean, so they say you might not have that now, but at least the town don't know what you're talking about. It's the government or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else would be a hardship on these kids these days, They would just hate,
Cassettes.
Oh yeah.
They stream music that this one swish.
Yeah.
You didn't like that one, you had to push the fast forward button.
Yeah, and just hope you landed on the
or hope you landed. And I had one that would stop after each song because it caught the pause.
Right.
So I got that one.
That was a high tech cassette player right there.
It was a high tech one.
And but you still had to wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
No.
then we couldn't pick which songs we got either. I mean, you got what was offered and that was it.
Yeah.
Double Fantasy by John and Yoko. John's music, John Lennon stuff, just wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
And then his wife would get on there, and I couldn't push the fast forward button fast enough. Why did they put her on there?
He was in love. I mean, he's got,
I understand that. You do stupid stuff when you're in love, like
yeah,
get
he
married.
already had plenty of money for
Yeah.
the Beatles and everything, so he didn't care, you know. He was just letting her know that I love you. You do what you want to do. So
John's song Imagine has inspired so many bands.
that's one of my all-time favorite songs, just because of the words and the message in it, you know.
I have talked to so many musicians who say the exact same
You
thing.
know, I mean, I really did love some John Lennon. I mean, there's songs that he did that people don't know about. I mean, Shine On, that was like,
Oh,
oh
man.
my God, that was,
Such a great song.
yeah. And
Kentucky Headhunters, in fact, they told me the band Imagine was the one that caused them to form the band.
really,
Yep. I
I,
interviewed them when they were at Lake Blackshear a while back, a few years back.
okay. So we do a couple Kentucky Headhunters songs, so if that'll
So
make
you
you
go
happy.
down to Dumas Walkers then.
Oh yeah,
Oh
we'll do
yeah.
that
Down to Dumas Walkers.
one. Yeah. So anyway, you kids, I know you're not gonna watch having a drink with pops, but you know you're missing out because
You missed out on some good stuff. I mean,
yeah,
we
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have the ability to sit there and text somebody literally on the other side of the planet. We didn't know how to get a hold of people on the other side of the
I can't
planet.
believe that they complain so much right now. Kids today
It just
complain more than we ever even thought about. I mean, back when I was a kid, I'm gonna tell you, I'm from Detroit. We swam in the Detroit River where the sewage ran in it and everything like that. So when COVID come along, I was like, and God,
you're inoculated.
yeah, I'm not gonna, I wasn't worried about it, you know. But you know, a lot of people lost their lives, and I hate it. But I really didn't. I really didn't care, you know. I was like, whatever. I did go get vaccinated
I
just
did too.
because, you know, that
I
was the
did too.
thing to do because people did it, and I did it. It didn't hurt me. So I got the one and done. And when they started saying, come get the new one, I was like, no, no, I passed. You know,
So
I got
you
the one.
swam in the Detroit River.
Yeah.
I learned to swim in a pond in literally downtown Atlanta. I cannot get you to this place anymore, but this is a friend of my grandmother's, and they own 20 something acres in the middle of downtown Atlanta that went down into a valley and there was a pond. And the guy's wife took me out one day and said, you want to go in the pond and swim? I said, sure. Didn't have a damn clue how to swim. Get out there. And she rows me out there. I just jump in and just start swimming in a pond in downtown Atlanta.
Uh,
Wow.
so, Ben, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Man, this has been wonderful. I
You know,
appreciate you, brother.
Ben's gonna share this like crazy. I seen he's got like 20,000 followers. So
Yeah, most of them are stalkers.
yeah, yeah, he's so sexy and everything, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's a
uh,
solar panel for a sex machine.
but if you do make it this far, please listen to what I'm saying. Please share this when you see it.
Please share.
Subscribe to my channel. Ben's gonna be my next subscriber.
Yes, I am.
Just
As soon as you send me the link, I'm gonna hit that subscribe button. I will.
I'm gonna do it, and we thank y'all for being here. And like I always say, peace out.